It's fixed.
You're welcome.
Can we watch that bit?
Okay, so the blockade lasts 318 days, and Stalin eventually gives up on the 12th of May of 1949. But this was no easy feat, and I will tell you why. Okay, these are air corridors. So Stalin comes up with basically more BS about why they can't provide supplies to these people. And he says, you want to come over into my bit? Well, you have to stay to my totally legit air corridors. And if you come out of my air corridors, my Russian pilots are going to shoot you out of the sky. So none of the planes actually ever went outside the air corridors. I think a few of the pilots did die in storms. But what the Russian pilots would do is they would come right up to the American planes and fly right next to them. Like, can you imagine this? So you're an American pilot, because this is American politics, and you're flying over a bunch of supplies to the people in Berlin.
I definitely feel it today.
That was a lot of energy. And then suddenly, this Russian douchebag, he cruises up to you, like this, as you do. He cruises up to you. He cruises up to you, and he's just sitting there, and he looks through your window and just goes, "You're right, mate, you want some of this? You want some Russian steel? I got bullets!" And so that happened. And I know because I'm being an idiot, it sounds like I'm making this up, but I'm not, they actually did that. This is also one of my favourite political cartoons ever. This is Stalin trying to shoot down all of the supplies, and it just makes me laugh. And also, this is my most favourite thing. So, the pilots would fly across West Berlin, and as they did so, they would drop sweets or candy, because it's America, down to all of the kids, and they were called raisin bombers, and that's one of the few nice things you will ever see in history.
That's so cute.
So don't get used to it.
Isn't that the
I
truth?
didn't know that.
The results. So, what did this lead to? This leads to the divide between Germany being solidified, which will create its later problems, as I'm sure you know. It also leads to the National Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is still running today, and it was basically all of the capitalist countries being like, yes, we defeated the Russians! And this would later lead, in 1955, to the Warsaw Pact, which is basically Russia being a playground bully, I'm still out of breath, being the playground bully, smacking all of the other countries, which are like the other kids, into a corner of the playground and being like, look, I've got friends too! And the arms race continues.
Oh, wow.
Arms. So, after this, an event happens which kind of and Cold War stops being a Cold War. The ice starts to melt a little bit, as it very much were. And this is the Korean War, which starts to do this. And I have found a map, because I think you need to be able to visualize this to understand it, so I'm going to explain it to you using this map. And if you're into history, this is a beautiful thing. Is this a beautiful thing, or is this is a beautiful thing?
Do you study this?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So, North Korea and South Korea are divided. North Korea wants to be communist, South Korea wants to be capitalist. So obviously, America and Russia, they get involved, and America is supporting South Korea, Russia is supporting North Korea. Then, on the 25th of June 1950, North Korea stages a surprise attack on South Korea. And the UN steps in and goes, no, we cannot have this. We need to send in some troops. God damn it, America, not your troops. General Douglas MacArthur. So by the time Dougie gets there, I'm going to call him Dougie from now on, all the South Koreans have left is this little bit here, which is called Pusan. Pusan? Yes, it's not pronounced in a French way, but I've decided to do that. So Dougie intervenes, and he pushes the North Koreans not only back over their own border, but all the way up here to the Chinese border and the Yalu River, at which point the Chinese get involved, more people, and they say, we cannot have this, what, I shall start to fight on their behalf, and they get involved and push Dougie all the way back to the 38th parallel, and from here it gets pretty tense. Douglas MacArthur marches into Congress and says, let's nuke the hell out of the North Koreans, and Truman goes, ha ha ha, you're funny, get out. And loses a bunch of popularity because even though he was like a horrible guy, MacArthur was a war hero. So we have negotiations about Korea, and two things happen that speed up these negotiations. Firstly, Truman voted out, replaced by Republican Eisenhower, so we don't have Truman interfering anymore. Secondly, Stalin dies. Yay!
Is that him in state, isn't it?
Yeah, that's his funeral.
It's
There's
a bit
something
weird.
about, yeah, there's something about his body being left out for a really long time. I don't remember. So anyway, Korea ends up being divided in the exact same place as it was before, and nothing is achieved. However, that is the beginning of the Cold War, and I'm up to the end. I'm up to 1953, so that is the end of my presentation. And I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to leave you with this piece of Dr. Seuss, war cartoons. Yes, he wrote war cartoons, not just colourful children's books. He also did propaganda, and I will leave you to contemplate that as you will. I thank you.